Hello and welcome to ThisDeveloperCodes. In today's episode we're going to be talking about Redis and its practical applications, and to do so we're going to take a look at ThisDeveloperCodes, websites, API, and shared PCL, our technology stack, and add Redis to it. What we're going to do is take the current YouTube data API usage, which retrieves a list of YouTube videos that have been published to our channel, and we're going to implement Redis in order to abstract away that API to only being called once for a given period of time and stored into our cache and retrieved on every page load, as opposed to calling the API directly every single time for every single user. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the installation of Redis. You can install Redis by visiting the Microsoft archive. Microsoft has their own port of Redis that's available for download and installation. They have a very convenient MSI for installing the packages. You can find this on github.com/microsoftarchive/redis/releases. Right under here, choose your applicable package. I use the latest MSI. I use the default settings. I've installed Redis. Very next, I installed the Redis Desktop Manager. It's a GUI utility for reading and deleting and otherwise managing your Redis service that's installed. You can run Redis as either a console application, which you then manipulate, or as a installed Windows service, which the latter I chose to do for the purposes of this demonstration. So once Redis is installed in Redis Desktop Manager is available, you can use Connect to Redis Server to simply set up a connection through localhost, the default port. It is recommended to take a look at the default configuration. This is the Windows service configuration file, since this was installed as a service. This is located in your program's file Redis directory under the service configuration. Again, it can be ran as a command line utility to the Redis CLI or as the service. And the service is the configuration we're looking at here. The most important, or at least first glance, configuration values that you should take a look at is the IP configuration, which is bound to localhost, and you can also configure a password. So if you're going to make this available, the service available externally, then you should certainly consider, or at least mandate, a password. Once installed, you can confirm that Redis install is functioning properly. And again, I did this directly before this demo was begun. So here you can see we're running on localhost and port 6379. At any point you can clear out your Redis installation by running the flush all command line utility. So from here, I'm going to show you, this is the way our project is structured. So we have ThisDeveloperCodes website, ThisDeveloperCodes API, and a shared PCL, which I utilize for any shared code, such as retrieving values from the YouTube data API, or otherwise injecting configuration values into a configuration file that is shared amongst my various projects from their configuration JSON files. I've added a constant here for localhost. I try not to put sporadic string values throughout my code and centralize any of them, which is good practice for localization anyways. So to begin, the first thing you'll want to do is identify the stack exchange.redis packages. Helps to spell it right. Confirm that it's available, and we can begin. So what I like to do is approach this from the understanding that you may move on to a new technology and not to bind yourself to a specific one. And the way I do that is obviously through an interface. So I'll start the data layer, give ourselves a cache. The cache should obviously give us some CRUD. So these are the types of operations that you'll want to perform on your cache, such as adding, removing, deleting, updating. But for the brevity of this stream, we're going to start with adding and removing. So let's give ourselves a void add, and we're going to use the byte array for the key, byte array for the value, as well as a void retrieve by key. Okay. We're going to continue on by adding a implementation of that interface. So here you can see that I have an add and a retrieve. So I like to use the singleton pattern for my Redis cache because I would only want one open connection to the Redis server. It's running on my machine. So I'm going to do that by giving myself a private constructor overriding the default public constructor and give myself access to this. Redis cache instance. Okay. So from here I need a connection, and I'm going to need a connection. I'm also going to need a database. So also need a connection multiplexer. And I'm going to go ahead and give it that localhost connection. So let's see here. Let's look at the getting started guide for Redis. And it says, don't typically use Redis directly like this. Let's find that connection multiplexer. Aha. Forgot to call connect. So we're not instantiating connection directly, we're calling connect, which returns the connection multiplexer. And we're going to follow Ray Sharper's recommendations here. And we're going to say database equals new, use our connection. And remember, if we look back at the Redis Desktop Manager, we can see that there are 15 default databases which are given to us for access. For the purposes of this demo and in practical sense, I'm only going to be using one database managed independently for this project. So I can leave it with its default value. I can make this read-only, which is a good suggestion, and leave this with its default parameters instead of using any of the overloads. From here, we can implement add and retrieve by taking our database And the simplest is the string set, which is why I have this key value as byte arrays. Again, I need to use the database to get my value. And it wants aha, my cache, look at that. I need to return an object. So here you have the most simplest implementation of Redis cache in a practical sense. From here, we've completed. Next, what I'll be doing is I'll be utilizing the Stack Exchange extensions to specifically use the Newtonsoft libraries so that when we access our Redis cache, each of the key values stored within Redis will be done so in JSON, serialized through JSON. So this will be easily viewable, understandable, and otherwise maintainable as a local cache on this machine. Thanks.